This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. Thank y'all for attending. This is a webinar on using the Notebook Judge scoring tool for the digital notebooks for Jubilee Best in 2019. My name is Louis Spearman. I'm the head judge for Jubilee Best, and we're going to go through how to do this, how to send it back to Jubilee Best, and how to use the scoring tool itself. What I have on the screen right now is the email that each of the judges should have received, letting them know about this webinar, as well as what their assignments are and how to work through this. The first part of this email that you see up here is the Google Drive. This is where the notebooks are located. This is out on the internet. You can use and download the notebooks if you want, or you can view it just off the Google Drive itself. The second portion here is your assigned schools. Each of you have between 4 and 6 schools that were assigned to you. Each individual judge is different on the type and number of schools that they have. This is very critical so that we can get each school to be judged the proper number of times during this competition. The attachment, which talks about right here, is the judge scoring tool, and we will go over that in detail and in just a second. And then what you'll do once you are finished with your file, you will submit it back to us at notebooks@jubileebest.org. And this should just be a single file that you're going to submit to us. And I'll tell you how to save it and everything else and a little bit later. And then finally was the instructions for getting on this webinar. So I appreciate everybody for attending today and coming and helping us with our judges training for Jubilee Best. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the actual judges Excel spreadsheet. What you'll see when you open it, you'll get to a Read Me First tab. What you'll do first thing when you do this is you'll enter a judge's name, hopefully your own, and that will auto-fill into each of the sheets. Right here is a link, if you didn't follow the link that was in the email, also to the Google Drive account. There is a slight error. If you click it direct, you might get this error in your Google Drive. If this occurs, don't panic, don't worry about it. What you'll need to do is actually just copy and paste the link into its own tab or own window, and the Google Drive will appear. I have the Google Drives currently selected with the list view, or you can have the preview view going, however you wish to do it. You'll notice each school's name is the school number _notebook _2019. So you'll grab down based on your assignments the notebook that you want to judge for this particular time. Also, for convenience in here, I've included the original PDF version of the notebook scoring sheet that each of the teams receive. So if you want to see exactly what it looks like that the teams get during kickoff, that they're trying to mimic in their notebook, that score sheet's here as well. And then the first file here is the actual judge's Excel spreadsheet that you received as an attachment onto your email. But I'll put it here also for your convenience if for some reason you needed it in a single location. So all the teams are listed here. You're more than welcome to browse and look through any team, even the ones that you may not be assigned to get familiar with what the teams look like this year. But then we're going to go ahead and select the ones that are under your assignment. So for this particular example, I'm going to go ahead and select one that's here. Also, what you'll see here is you have 2 sheets that are in here, a template sheet and a Read Me First sheet. We'll start on the Read Me First. Again, you put your judge's name in. And then to bring up the next score sheet that you're going to score, we're going to use a shortcut key, Control-Shift-N. And when you do this, you'll notice a template number 2 comes up for your particular score. This is the sheet in which you will enter the scores on. So for this particular example, we're going to go ahead and look as if we're going to score number 0867. So we'll jump back here. There is a drop-down box up here on cell C1, and we can scroll down and pick 0867. So there's no typing that's required. Once you pick that, as you can see, it'll fill in the team's name, the hub, the category, and then you also can see that from the first sheet, your judge's name was filled in as well. Also at this time, what you'd probably want to do is very critical is to rename the sheet. And we can do this one of two ways. Either you can double click and type in team. And again, this is team 0867. It's very critical, and the way the programming works, that we have to have the leading 0. So it needs to be a 4-digit number for this tab here to be 0867. If for some reason it does not work by double clicking, on some computers it doesn't, you always can go right click and go rename. And again, type in team space 0867. And that tells us which notebook that you are judging at this time. You can then jump back and forth between the notebook as you view it and look at it, and go to each of the scoring sections and score however you want. You also could use, if you're more comfortable doing it the old way, you can use scratch paper, you can use score sheet, whatever you want to do, and then transfer that electronically when you're finished to here. If you are just looking for scratch sheet, there is a scratch pad area that's located on each template. This pad is for your use only. This will not transfer over to the other scoring tools or to what the teams will see. So this is just for your use as a scratch pad for whatever reason. You might say done the research paper. If you're doing 4 or 5 at one time, looking at the research paper or looking at a certain section, you can use the scratch pad to keep notes of where you are or what you've done. So now I'm ready. I've kind of formatted my sheet and I'm ready to start entering. So what we do in column C is where we'll enter our scores. On purpose, of course, I'm going to enter one that's too high. So I want to see that if you enter a score that is above the score that can be created for that particular cell, then you will get a notification that you have scored a too high or an invalid entry. So go ahead and hit cancel. It will blank it out, and now I can go back and score as what I'm looking for this particular team. If you need to know a little bit more information about the scoring, the rubric is on to the side. If you think that for some reason you can't see the rubric and you need to change, you can always change the height of the cells and be able to see more of the rubric if it comes out behind something else. The most important aspect to us and to the teams is the feedback you provide to the teams itself. This is very critical. The scores are nice because it's easy and it provides us a winner and a loser, but the most important part is the feedback we provide to the teams. In this area, you can continue to type and let them know what their feedback is. You can type as much as you want here. Even this has 4 lines. Even if you do not physically see your feedback or your comments on this area, it will continue to keep it. You again can pull down and see the rest of the feedback as well. So, and that's shown here. I have one that we've already done. So here's some showing you some of the comments that are done. And again, you can, if it's a situation where you can't see everything, you can feel free to just drag down and increase the height and see all your comments and everything else. All your comments that are in column D, as well as your score in column C, will be shown to the teams. So please be very positive in your feedback. Let's get it something that they can use because they will advance on to our regionals or in case they want to improve next year as well. So, and this is some examples of some of the things that you can provide as your feedback as you type into your scoring sheet. Again, you don't have to add anything. It's all added up And if you wanted to just make a general comment, this was a great notebook, you can do that right next to the final score. And this is also a comment area as well. It may not pertain to a particular category, but it's just an overall notebook comment that then the teams would see as well there. So we're going to go ahead and just fill in here some numbers. So one of the things that the score sheet does not do that you will need to check on your own is to make sure that you did not skip any blanks. We want to make sure that every question is answered. I prefer feedback on every question, but not every question will lend itself to having feedback. Just feel what you feel like you have to have feedback on. So now you can see we have scored this notebook. It has a score of 289. It is complete. So we have done with this particular score notebook. So now we're ready to go back and do the next one. And so you can go back to the README. You can do Control-Shift-N again. And now we start the process over again, and you do your next school. So now you would pick your next school. Again, right-click, rename, team, space, 0857. And now you have both tabs to go ahead and work for. So let's say I've now completed all 6 of my teams or whatever many I have. So what I do then is I go back and check, and then I'll go ahead and go Save As. So you want to go to the Save As portion. Make sure this is still an Excel micro-enabled workbook. And I want to rename this workbook your last name _ first name, and then remember where you're saving it. And it will save it under that formula. For some reason, you've done 2 or 3. You're not sure if you get to others. You want to send it to me at that time. You can save multiple versions. All I ask that you do is when you do your Save As, you have your John Smith, hit space, revision 1 or something, so I know that this is the next iteration of your particular time. But my preference is to just get one sheet or one file from you when you are finished at that time. So you've already done it. You go back and find the file and then email it out, and email it to notebooks@jubileebest.org. And that should be the easy way to handle on the judging of the notebooks themselves. As far as reading the notebooks electronically, I use just an Adobe Acrobat reader. This is the DC version. This is the free version that's available. Please recommend that you read the notebooks and do this on a laptop or a desktop computer. Please do not try and read the notebooks on a PDF, on a iPad or mobile phone. Some of the PDF versions that are on those devices may not be as compatible as to what the laptops and others have that our teams were expecting our judges to have. Our teams have gotten savvy enough to put links so you can jump back and forth between the document and be able to find out what you'll need to do, as well as do a command find. And if you want to look at what the safety section is, I can jump real quickly to the safety and read from that portion there if you want to read the book not from start to finish. So those are some things that make it a little different than what we've done in the past, having the paper notebooks to be done.
Lewis, I'm going to jump in here a minute. This is Dave Whitmire, and we've been using this approach for the last 8 or 10 years at Texas Best for the regional and handled up to 72 teams there. And most of the hubs across Texas use this. And the fact that we as judges, instead of having to work manually through a bunch of paper and try and figure out whether or not somebody covered something, it makes it easier as a PDF for you to go ahead and search for those keywords like history or research paper or CAD drawings if you're looking for specific things that you want to score or judge them on. And so it sped up the process quite a bit, and then fully automates the back end when we run all these scores up. And we're also able to then we gather up the like 5 scores that are given from 5 different judges for each school, and we can repackage those and send them electronically to all the schools so they get feedback for their either advancement to the regional or for their teacher to have available for notes for the next year. Okay, Luis, your turn.
So one aspect that I wanted to bring up that we've been asked a couple of times is right here. It says 5 bonus points for National Registry Proof. All of our Jubilee Best teams have participated and registered for the National Registry Proof. So that is something that you do not have to worry about. The software was written so that has a 25-point max. So the way we're going to do that is just score this and just score it on a 25-point basis. And just assume that every team's going to get that +5 bonus added in at the end of the competition or in the end of our scoring on our side. So you'll notice it does say 25 here. There's a +5 that's noticed right there, but you are still going to only score that out of a 25 category. I think that's different.
Does anybody have any questions that have popped out on you as you've seen this?
They might be still muted. Brian, go ahead and stop recording.
I don't think she heard you.
Robin, would you stop recording now, please?